Hi, this is Ajanta ma'am. Today I shall be continuing with Act 3 Scene 1 of the Julius Caesar. Please subscribe my channel, hit the like button and share my videos for a complete analysis into your short stories, poems as well as your novels. Now when Caesar is murdered, Antony, who is very sharp and a great friend of Caesar, cannot believe that Caesar is murdered. But he knows he also is in trouble, and if he takes one wrong step, the conspirators will also kill him. Therefore, as the conspirators are ready to step out of the capital in order to announce to the people waiting what they have done by proclaiming peace, freedom, and liberty, a servant comes and tells Brutus that Antony wants to know the reasons as to why Caesar has been murdered, and if they can satisfy his queries and questions, then he will side with the conspirators. If they give convincing reasons, that is. And Antony would welcome to meet all the conspirators, and Brutus also gives a positive reply saying that he will certainly satisfy Antony's questions by giving convincing reasons, and would be welcome to meet him. In response to Brutus's offer, Antony arrives and, seeing Caesar's body, asks if all conquests, glories and triumphs of Caesar has been reduced to this lifeless corpse that lies there. The corpse is, of course, of Caesar, the great Caesar. Antony then turns to the conspirators. He turns to the conspirators and says that if they want to murder him, also now is the proper time to do so. But Brutus tells him that they have no intention at all to kill him, and that they are not so bloody and cruel as they appear to be by their hands and by their daggers in their hands. Remember that Brutus had told the conspirators to dip their daggers in his blood and wave the red daggers dipped in blood above their heads and shout peace, freedom, and liberty to the mob that had gathered outside the capital. Brutus says that they have murdered Caesar in the interest of the common people only, and that towards him, towards Antony, they have only friendly intentions. Antony thereupon shakes hands with each of the conspirators, and then turning once again towards Caesar's dead body, expresses his pity for the dead man and his grief over the sad end of Caesar. We all know Antony and Caesar were great friends. They were very good friends, and Caesar was Antony's patron. At this point, Cassius asks Antony if he wants to be regarded as an ally of the conspirators or if he has something else in his mind. Antony, a very, very shrewd man, very sharp, replies that he first wants to know in what way Caesar was a dangerous man and what were the reasons which had prompted them to kill Caesar. Here Brutus speaks again, saying all the convincing reasons that would be given to Antony for the murder of Caesar. And Antony says that in addition to this, he would also seek permission of Brutus and others to produce Caesar's body before the common people in the marketplace and to deliver a funeral speech. To which Brutus agrees readily with Antony's demand. And here Cassius is worried. He whispers privately to Brutus that it would be absolutely wrong to permit Antony to address the Roman people, the Roman mob, because they all knew Antony was a great orator. Brutus explains to Cassius that first he would himself address the people and tell them the reasons why Caesar had been murdered, and that Antony would be permitted to speak to the people only afterwards. Cassius still objects to any permission. He is not very sure of Antony. And he somehow can gauge that what is to come, because if Antony were given a chance to speak to the Roman public, he would move the Roman mob against the conspirators. But Brutus, whose heart rules his head, overrules him, thinking Antony to be no danger. The conspirators then move out of the capital, leaving Antony to bring the dead body of Caesar to the marketplace. But left alone with the dead body of Caesar, Antony says that he has not forgiven the conspirators, the butchers, as he calls them, for having murdered Caesar, and that he would see to it that the country is plunged in civil war. And speaking to himself, the soliloquy, Antony says that blood and destruction shall become a familiar sight throughout the country, and that all kinds of cruel and barbarous deeds will be performed as a consequence of the crime which the conspirators have committed on murdering the great Caesar. And Caesar's spirit will roam around with the goddess of revenge by its side, and that all the instruments of destruction will have a free play in the country. A total civil war. With Caesar's death, there will be civil war. And Antony predicts that. And we all know what Antony is going through. Though he is extremely cautious, because he knows he himself is in danger. And therefore, he needs to be very, very cautious as to the steps that he is going to take. Thank you for watching.